So one of the questions we get asked all the time is, what do I do if my Amazon seller account is suspended? So let's talk about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. One of the most important things you should do first is when you get the suspension notice, as obvious as this is, and I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, of course, but read it, understand it, understand what they're saying, what sort of suspension it is. It could be a performance-based suspension, right? If you have like high ODR, order defect rate, if you have late shipments, if they're suspending you for invalid tracking numbers, whatever it is, understand it. Or it could be IP-based, intellectual property-based suspension for trademark infringement, copyright infringement, or patent infringement. And if it is patent infringement, is it design patent? Is it utility patent? So really understand it. Or another main thing, it could be compliance or regulatory based suspension, something to do with the FDA, or if they require some sort of certification or license from you. So it's important that you understand this so you could explain it to whoever you're talking to, so you can have an intelligent conversation with them. Now, next thing is consider hiring an attorney to draft your plan of action. And I know this is self-serving, but I promise you it's for your own good. But I also am smart enough and not naive to know that a lot of you are thinking, I don't need an attorney, I could do this myself. While I wholeheartedly object to that, I'm still going to give you this advice. So if you guys completely ignore my advice and decide to draft it your own, let me try to help you guys out with a plan of action. So plan of action is a first appeal or first document that you'll provide. Plan of action, or POA for short. So the way I want you guys to look at this is, if you guys remember when we were younger, or even now, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, right? Where three ghosts visit Ebenezer Scrooge, right? Ghost of Christmas past, ghost of Christmas present, and ghost of Christmas yet to come, or in other words, ghost of Christmas future. That's really what Amazon is asking for in the POA, right? So they ask for a root cause. That would be the ghost of Christmas past. Tell me what happened. What caused this suspension? What did you do wrong? Here, you're just listing it out. What was the root cause for the suspension? And obviously, you can't do that if you didn't follow direction number one, which is read and understand the reason for the suspension. And what I've told friends is, when you get the suspension notice, consider this to be a 24-hour mandatory vacation. And what I mean by that is, don't take any action, just take 24 hours off, and all you're going to do is have the suspension notice in front of you. Just read it, make sure you understand it. You're not going to go ahead and respond. You're not going to do anything. You do this so you really get to understand the reason for the suspension, and also take time to reflect on what might have caused the suspension, right? But anyways, go into drafting the POA. So root cause, that's the ghost of Christmas past. Tell me what happened before. What resulted in this suspension? That's what Amazon's asking for in the root cause. The next main section is going to be immediate actions to resolve the issue. Think of this as ghost of Christmas present. What immediate actions, what are you going to do now, presently, currently, to ensure that this issue is resolved, the issue that you brought up in the root cause? So that would be the second main section. The third and last section is going to be preventative measures. Think of this as ghost of Christmas future, right? What changes are you going to make for the future so this doesn't happen again? What changes in your business, in your policies, in your standard operating procedure are you going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? But those are the three main sections of a POA. Next, just general tips. Know your audience. So all you're going to do is list the facts, no emotion. Amazon seller, their seller performance team, they're not going to care about the emotion. As horrible as that sounds, they really don't care about how this has affected you as a human being, right? Your attorneys may, your friends and family, your employees may, but Amazon reps reading these, the seller reps, they really don't care. So don't list any emotion, no emotional language, only the facts. Second tip, use concise language. Try to fit the POA, preferably on one page. And if you need to, go on to the second page, but most of the time it should be one page should be more than enough for you to list all three of those sections that we mentioned above. Third, quality of POAs over quantity. We get a lot of clients that come to us after they've submitted 3, 4, 5, sometimes 7 or 8, sometimes even worse, 9 or 10 POAs. This isn't a challenge for Amazon. Amazon isn't challenging you to see how many POAs you can produce in a short amount of time. So it's better for you to take some time off and really draft something, something substantive, something that you have really spent time doing, instead of just pounding them with POAs time after time. Because after a while, they'll just stop responding. Next thing is no legal arguments. Even if it's an attorney drafting it, we don't include legal arguments in this. It's part of knowing your audience, right? These Amazon seller reps, they're not attorneys. They are not educated in the practice of law. So it's not helping anyone for us to include legal arguments in there. So neither should you. Next thing is, and I discussed this in another video, but there's a difference between taking responsibility for your actions and then admitting liability, right? Look at the other video in our, I think I did that a couple weeks ago. Take a look at that, about the difference in that language. Again, I want to stress a point. I do encourage you guys to hire an attorney. I don't care if it's our firm or anyone else, but hire an attorney to do it the right way. Obviously, go ahead and vet them, do your due diligence, but unless you guys are doing this day in, day out, this is something completely new, right? But if you guys are going to do it, then that's some tips for you guys. Also, if you guys are going to do it, we'll include a link below this video for you guys to get 10 POAs that we've done that have worked. So these are successful POAs, plans of action. So you guys have an idea of what a successful POA looks like. So just have that for your records and use that as a template if you'd like. But at least take a look at those successful POAs, and the link will be below the video. All right, next let's talk about things you guys should not do. Please, please, please do not open up a new seller account when your current one or existing one is suspended. Amazon tracks around 20 or so data points, and whether it's sooner or later, they will find out about your other account and they will also suspend that. Amazon allows sellers to have multiple seller accounts as long as you've got a quote unquote justified business reason. But if one of them is suspended and they have the other ones linked, they will suspend the other ones and won't reinstate it unless you have the previous one reinstated. So you guys aren't being smart by opening up a new seller account. And the longer it takes Amazon to find out about the secondary account, the worse it is for you guys. Think about that. If Amazon doesn't find out about the secondary account that you've created because your first one was suspended, let's say it's a year later, now you guys are doing $1 million a year. At that point, if they suspend it, that's going to hurt a lot more than if they were to suspend it a week after you created a new account. Because in a week, you probably haven't done much. You haven't invested enough resources or time or money, right? So do not open up another or secondary seller account. Next, do not manipulate or modify your existing invoices or other documents. Most sellers, when they get suspended, Amazon wants the invoices a certain way. They want certain names, information, and addresses on the invoices. If that's not on there, do not modify it. Amazon has certain technology and software that'll look and see if a document has been manipulated. And if they find out that you have, you're now facing a more difficult challenge. So please make your life easier and our life easier, and do not modify your invoices or any other documents. Last one, do not give up. And this may sound very cliche, but generally, most of the time, what we've seen is with account suspensions, it's not a question of if you'll get the of if you'll get the account reinstated, it's a question of when. So it's a question of time, right? How long it'll take. So those are the things that you should and should not do when your account is suspended. Again, I know I mentioned I'd rather have you guys consult with an attorney and have the attorney walk you guys through their reinstatement process, but I know not all of you guys are gonna listen to that. So watch the video again, take a look at the do's and don'ts, and there'll be a link below to 10 POAs that have been successful that our legal office has drafted. So take a look at those, and that'll give you a good idea of what to do and what not to do, and how to draft a POA and how to structure it, how to format it. So take a look at that, and if you guys have any questions, here's our information. Feel free to reach out, and we'll be glad to answer any questions you guys have. All right, best of luck.